anime sequence. Dai-Oh, the answer to all your burning questions.
What is up, guys? Anthony Davis here, and with me today is
Rizwan Merchant.
Nathan Desaw.
That
and
sounds
we
like a really bad voicemail there.
and we are basically doing part 3 of our Ressha Sentai ToQger reviews.
As always, we're Toku Secrets, and yeah, let's get going.
Let's start.
All right, so we're starting off with episode 17, and most Sentai geeks should probably know that episode 17 is the typical point where the Sixth Ranger is introduced. There's only a few exceptions I can think of.
Sometimes it's 16, but yeah.
We prefer the term nerds. Thank you very much.
Sorry, it's Sentai nerds.
There you go.
There's a few exceptions. Sometimes they'll introduce it later. Mega Ranger and Time Ranger did that, and sometimes they'll do it incredibly early, like the Sentai that came before this, Cure Ucher.
Yep.
But
Like they don't get one to like episode 9, I believe. Yeah, it's 9.
Yep.
9 is 8 is when he actually is preferred, and 9 is when actually they debut as the Sixth Ranger.
so, but here they went back to the typical time when a Sixth Ranger comes in. So basically, as we ended the last video, episode 16 at the very end, like for like the last minute of the episode, Conductor and Ticket received a new henshin device. I don't know if it was named in that episode or not, but it was an iPhone-like changer called the Applet changer, and it came with a small little orange Ressha that was called the Build Ressha. And in this episode, I'm pretty sure that the episode kind of started off with like a brief Dark Liner battle, but basically after that brief battle, Conductor and Ticket revealed to the ToQgers that now that they have the Applet changer, they're going to be receiving a new ToQger is going to be joining the team. And just one thing I want to note before we go on, like there's this really brief moment where this weird, like we I don't think we've mentioned her in the previous episodes, but throughout the show we've had like this, I guess you could kind of call her an alpha type character. Her name is Wagon or
Oh
something.
god, I forgot about Wagon.
How did you forget about Wagon? Oh, anyway, she wasn't interested.
You know why we forgot about Wagon? I'll tell you why. Wagon's boring. She's really creepy.
She's weird.
Creepy.
Weird.
Creepy.
And just kind of continuing on with her creepiness, as Riz said, she questions whether or not she'll become the sixth ToQger. Which,
Oh God!
thank
So,
God.
see, well, no. You gotta get it right. Oh, I will intensely become the next ToQger because I'm so intensely a ToQger. Because intensely.
Yeah, no.
That's what she says every time she says anything.
What I'm really confused about, what exactly is she? Is she a robot or is she just? I don't know what she is.
I think she's a robot.
But
Yeah.
But then, okay. I'll give you the best answer I can possibly give you for everything, because you got a little hand puppet. It's actually a hand puppet. It's not really like an extension of Conductor. You ready for this, Anthony? You ready?
Yeah.
The answer to your burning question here is imagination.
that explains it. That explains all.
Of course.
Look. It's like Gosei said. There's a simple explanation for all of this.
And
Exactly.
imagination. Anyway,
That should have been what. That has to happen now. Somebody on YouTube, please go do a thing where Gosei is trying to explain some whatever it was with Jake, and then cut to Conductor yelling imagination.
Son.
or you could
This
possibly
needs
take
to happen so
you could
badly.
possibly take the SpongeBob clip too, where he has the rainbow in his hands. But
I would say no to that in a heartbeat, only because I hate SpongeBob.
well, I. Oh,
and
okay.
then our subscriber count goes down.
Yes.
Anyways,
Whatever. Yeah.
So anyway, what happens after that is that the ToQgers are wondering who their new ToQger is going to be, and then they hear a harmonica playing in the in the background, and they look outside and they see mysterious this mysterious man who's playing the harmonica with it raining, like, and it's actually not raining outside. There's only just like a small portion of rain falling down on him.
That
And,
harmonica sounds so beautiful.
It
yeah, it
is.
does actually. And they're wondering if he's going to become the next ToQger, but Conductor says that he's not going to, and apparently, like, and explains to him that he's just a railway worker on the Rainbow Line who used to be a shadow monster. Uh, and I'm pretty sure he says that his name is Zarum, and
Zalem, but yeah.
yeah, Zalem, and he apparently, apparently, since he wanted to atone for his actions as a shadow monster, he switched sides to the Rainbow Line, and
I, I wish that he actually appeared a lot earlier because this would have been like a perfect opportunity to have him featured earlier on as like a constant like enemy to the into the ToQgers, and then he'll eventually join the good side.
No, I think the way they did it was actually pretty well done because it's overdone to have like the guy fight them for so many episodes and then all of a sudden, oh look, you're one of him. You're one of them. It's just overdone, overplayed. Here, there's some conflict in the past where he did some bad stuff, and now he's trying to atone for his sins, and that's all you need to know. You don't
Yeah,
need to see everything he's done in the past. Also, can I just point out here that I think I would laugh a lot if Conductor had become the Toki 6.
funny you should mention that, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. Basically, what happens after that is that all the other ToQgers agree and they just decide to be done with it. But Wright, for some reason, we don't really get, for some reason, really wants this Zarum guy to join.
The
He,
answer to the reason. Imagination!
so basically, what happens is that he sneaks off the Ressha because they had to stop so that Zarum could fix the trap, could fix one of the switches so that they could continue. And they and they but while Wright sneaks off the Rainbow Express, he gets attacked by General Schwartz, and Zarum actually assumes his monster form, which I'll admit actually looks kind of cool. He has a sort of a cowboy theme ish, I guess you could kind of call it. It like what do you guys think about it?
I actually really liked it. I kind of wanted to know more about like the monster's origin for that,
yeah.
because I was curious on how is he like wearing the cowboy apparel for that, or
That's
why
got.
is it a thing?
That's why I wish he was introduced earlier. Like, not. I mean, he doesn't have to fight the ToQgers per se, like you were saying, but he just could just be there to establish that okay, we know who this guy is, and then we'll see why he wants to join, and
I mean, I could see that if he were like one of the, if he were on the same level that Nero, Noir, or Swartz were, and he was like one of those people, and yeah, I mean that'd just be ideal. Like if you were to switch over, like being a high-ranking person in the Sato,
yeah.
then
He's actually the only shadow that has his own name. That's not. He's not a general, but he also has his own name. I thought he'd be considered like Rain Shadow or something.
But so basically, what happens after that is that Zarum assumes his form and he uses it to fight off General Schwartz, and then after General Schwartz, and then after General Schwartz flees, Zarum and takes Wright to the side, and he's tending to Wright's wounds, and he reveals more of his backstory, where we find out that while he was Zarum, he used his power. He basically had the power to make it rain, and he basically used this power to like make people's lives miserable, like most typical shadow monsters we've seen in the past. But but after one of his reigns, one of the times when he created a rainbow, he really like he looked at the rainbow and he thought like, wow, I mean that's really beautiful, and that's what ultimately decided that he didn't want to cause any more crimes, and he pretty much made it a goal that he would protect the light that he saw on a rainbow, and he believes that because of all the actions that he made as a shadow, he deserves to die.
So like, but basically like he out of all the shadows I've seen, like he seemed like the least one that actually does anything actually villain like with the whole rain thing. It's like, so it's a rain day. It's not like evil. It's just kind of like a kind of day.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say say that's evil or dark or crazy and darkness. It's just that kind of like it kind of bums you out in a sense.
yeah, I can kind of see that. That was a problem that I had with the introduction of this character. But I mean, I guess like I would have liked it a bit better if they made him maybe a little bit more darker as a character, like actually had him kill maybe some more innocent people, thus making like I like thus kind of making him think that he truly is a person who deserves to die. Because I really think that like deserving to die just by ruining some people's day by making it rain, that definitely doesn't garner death penalty or anything.
Exactly.
Well, do you know for certain he didn't kill anyone?
He never really said it, and I'm pretty sure
No.
he probably remembers something like that.
Well, I mean, if I kill somebody and I'm like in the position I am right now with this rainbow line, I wouldn't want to tell them that. I wouldn't want to
Okay,
talk about it at all.
that's a good point.
I mean, for
But
all you know, he killed people when he was taken over to town.
With rain though, I mean, well, here's probably really clever. He probably could have killed somebody like by drying them in eternal rain. That could be a possibility.
Yeah.
and before we can, I hope that I'm not like for the people that are listening. I hope I'm not making it out like I don't like this new Sixth Ranger character because I actually really do. I will talk a little bit more about like why I like him probably at the end of this video, but I'm just pointing out a few problems I have with him like at the moment
Yeah.
because when I was watching this episode, of course, like I didn't know what else was going to happen to him in the future.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, here's a thought. Maybe they just want the kids to be like, okay, well, he didn't do anything wrong, so I can see why they want him to be the Sixth Ranger right away because they don't want him to have any kind of like negative baggage, you know, as far as like
yeah.
him being as an evil character, redeeming himself, etc.
So pretty much the way that the episode continues to play out is that Right still wants Zarum to join. The ToQgers get attacked by General Schwartz, and I'm pretty sure there's like a scene like close to me into the episode where Conductor says that the ToQgers need help, and he tries to use the apple changer, but Ticket transforms into Tokyo 6, which is just stupid. But
Ticket is such a worthless character.
I hate Ticket.
Conductor at least amused me by saying, "Imagine this!"
so basically, after that, Wright takes the apple changer, and he and Zarum arrive at the fight, and and Zarum takes the apple changer, and he uses it to transform into Tokyo Rokugo, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people enjoyed this because this is the first time since the third Sentai actually, Battle Fever J, where we have an Orange Ranger, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people were also happy because this is also the first Sentai since you can either say Deca Ranger or possibly Geki Ranger that we finally have a sixth Ranger that's not gold or silver. And as much as I like gold and silver sixth Rangers, that's definitely a blessing because we definitely need less gold and silver sixth Rangers.
Wow, you're right. It's been a while.
Like like you could say with Deca Ranger, since Deca Ranger's Sixth Ranger was white, and if you count Geki Chopper as a Sixth Ranger in Geki Ranger, then yeah, it's since Geki Ranger. But Gokaiger didn't count Geki Ranger as a Sixth Ranger.
But
So.
do you count the one in Matsu Ranger as an actual Sixth Ranger?
Maji Shine?
I don't think it's actually gold. I think it's just like a special hero.
Yeah, but the color is considered gold, and like he has gold armor, so
I guess.
And plus that he have a ranger key, so
yeah, like
Yeah,
yeah,
but so did what are those things are called in Geki Ranger? Like what the American if equivalents of Camille and Dicey.
uh, the Rin
and
Judith warriors.
Yeah,
yeah, Iron Rio.
they had keys too, though.
Yeah, but they were considered extra heroes. Like while Maji Shine's Ranger key was among those Ranger keys that Bosco had as part of the Sixth Rangers.
Yeah, and plus that he was a part of the guy's gold mode.
Yeah.
True, true.
Anyway, so Zarum. So after becoming Tokyu Rokugo, Zarum believes that he's found a place that's worth dying. The rain cloud that had been like hovering above him like ever since the beginning of the episode disappears while he's transforming, and he charges in to battle against General Schwartz. And it's actually kind of funny because this actually shows a habit that he would have in early episodes, where rather than try to fight with his main weapon, his main weapon is a club-like weapon that resembles like one of those sticks that you use to guide a train in a direction. It's called the Udo Breaker. He throws it away and tries to fight in hand-to-hand combat, which
Funny.
that was kind of funny and cool at the same time. Basically, the battle ends with Tokyu Rokugo. I'm pretty sure it ends with like them like get him and General Schwartz like going evenly matched. Like they both shoot like a final attack. General Schwartz flees and Zarum collapses. And the episode ends with the ToQgers waking up Zarum. Zarum thought that he was dead, but he's really mad when it turns out that he's alive still. He gives right back the apple changer. He walks off in a huff, because he's still not wanting to become Tokyu Rokugo, and that ends episode 17.
Yay!
So we move right into station 18, which, well, actually no, I'll talk about that in a second. After we're done with episode 19, I am gonna want to talk about a certain issue that I have here. But basically, in station 18, the ToQgers basically still want Zarum to join the ToQgers, and though of course Ticket and Conductor don't want him to because he's a former shadow monster, and I'm pretty sure what happens is that basically, to kind of like sum up the episode with what happens, Wright talks with Zarum and eventually convinces him to join the ToQgers. The other four ToQgers actually give him a new name. He is given the name of Akira Nijino, and I know that Akira means rainbow in Japanese. I just can't remember what the Ninjino part means. I think it was for shining rainbow. I think, which definitely kind of makes sense because it was shown that he likes rainbows. So Akira finally decides to become Tokyu Rokugo permanently, and he even happily accepts the name of Akira. Though what sucks about this episode, like I have a really huge complaint here, we don't get a full 16 transformation with the ToQgers. Like basically it's that like 2, 3, 4, and 5 are already transformed, and it's just Right and Akira transforming, and then it goes into roll call. That really sucked, in my opinion, because that's one of the cool parts about this
What a
kind of
new
a
Ranger coming in, yeah.
yeah. In fact, the first time that we actually get a full 16 transformation isn't until a few episodes later, and they just skim over it as if it's not even that big of a deal. So
Actually, okay, so jumping ahead for just a split second because you brought it up,
go ahead.
the full team morph is kind of lame actually. With uh, he's pointing at his hand.
Yeah.
Like, okay, when they're doing their final like pose before they go fight, and it's like the big background and everything, they all do like the pose and like that clockwise pattern, and it ends with Rokugo just pointing his right hand at his left hand, and I'm like, that's not a pose.
No.
Stop it. Do something more dramatic. Anyway,
He's saying like, "Oh, I'm 6C." He's like, "6."
yeah, he's like, I'm here. Do the thing.
No, and one interesting thing about this episode is that at one point, Zet actually tries to torture Zarum, well, Akira in this case, because we're pretty much gonna call him Akira from this point forward, uh, into figuring out how he was able to open up his heart to like the light instead of being a shadow monster. Which, to be fair, is actually a really cool thing. I'm definitely glad that they gave Zet some sort of involvement here because that definitely does seem like something that Zet would be interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's literally like what the shadow monster is all about. But eventually, like Zed realizes that, well, actually, no. Zed realizes that Akira was only able to like open up his heart up to light by seeing a rainbow, and he gets really mad that he can't be accepted by the light. So he just leaves the shadow monster. All six ToQgers fight against him, and it ultimately ends with Akira using one of his support Reshas, the drill Resha, because, well, unfortunately, a big thing in Sentai is that every time, I think it's well established by this point that whenever a Sentai has one of those mechas that like can work as different arm attachments, they always have to have that drill one. I mean, we've seen this in Aba Ranger, Bokenger. I guess you could kind of say it was in Kyoryuger, and now you have this one.
Yeah. Even
And
Gokaiser had it.
oh yeah, with the Go Jujin.
Yeah.
So and they defeat the Ring Shadow, and the episode ends with Akira still deciding to go on, go on his like continue to remain as Tokyo Rokugo, but he still says that he still wants to fight in his own way. You know, pretty much just being that kind of a loner Sixth Ranger, like just saying like I'll still fight, but I'm just gonna do it my way, and you guys better stay out of my way, or something like that. And
I don't think it's more of like, I don't think he meant like stay out of my way. It's just more of a, I don't want to join y'all on the train. I'm below y'all.
Pretty much.
That's what I got out. I feel like he felt like he's not worthy of it.
I definitely like him being a loner though, because what like I am actually relieved on that because the past few Sentais, like starting with Shinkenger, we've had just a bunch of comic relief Sixth Rangers that are way too like sugar,
Go Kai Silver.
like really sugar high characters,
Go Kai Silver.
and Shinken Gold.
Go Kai Silver is definitely Sigger High. Anyway,
And
did you mention? Sorry. Go ahead.
no, you can go ahead.
Did you mention the entire Hikari not trusting Zalem part? Because that's actually pretty important here.
No, I don't think I did.
Okay, so Wright is under the. He's been captured by the Sado monster of this episode, and he's getting like a really bad headache from the effects of the Sado power because they keep saying his name over and over again. And Zalem's like, I can help, and Hikari's like, I don't trust you. But Zalem says, I will help save Wright and find my place to die. and Hikari grudgingly agrees. Okay, fine, you can help.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, Hikari is the one that is always the logical thing. He doesn't apply like the emotions to the situation. He gets emotion out of it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Emotionally, he may like Akira, the idea of Akira, but logically, hell no.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. And he's the one who actually gives Akira his name, though.
Yeah.
So anyway, the next episode, Station 19, is basically the last episode. It's basically a typical last episode for the typical Sentai Sixth Ranger introduction trilogy, and I will talk about that in a second after we get done talking about this episode. Where basically Akira has found a new Ressha on the railway. It is actually we later find out that it's actually the Ressha that's made for ToQger. It's the build Ressha, which is basically a construction like train. It's like a crane like thing that you sometimes see in some trains like if there are any Thomas the Tank Engine fans out there, it's like the breakdown train, I guess you could kind of call it. Uh, but anyway, and basically the episode is that Togachi, because of course Togachi has to steal the spotlight in some case. Um, he's turned off by Akira's very reserved and somewhat, I guess you could kind of say, uncaring nature, and he's trying to befriend Akira. And basically, what happens is that he he basically sneaks off the rainbow line and tries to befriend Akira while Akira is actually trying to like rewire the controls and build Ressha so that he can figure out how to drive it. And in the episode, uh, while a new shadow monster, it's called the Finch Shadow, traps the rainbow line under the ground where everybody except Akira and Togachi are trapped under it. And basically, the episode resolves with Akira finally mastering how to control build Dai-Oh. No, build Ressha, sorry. And then he frees the other ToQgers. There's kind of a funny yet kind of moment that's not going to make sense. That's probably going to create a plot hole much later, where Wright tries to use Akira's build Ressha to do a transfer change to Orange, and it doesn't work. The only explanation that we get is that Ticket explains that Tokyo Rokugo doesn't have to switch lines. Uh, and then Akira is able to reveals that he can transform the build Ressha to become build Dai-Oh, and he is even able to do that even further by combining it with drill Ressha, and he's able to destroy Finch Shadow, and it's uh, basically the episode kind of ends with Togachi realizing that even though Akira doesn't comes off as if he doesn't care, his helping the ToQgers with build Dai-Oh was kind of his way of showing that he does see the ToQgers as friends. He just has a weird way of showing it. And now that we're done with episode 19, I do want to point out that here's an issue that I have with this. I've pointed that I don't know if anybody else would kind of figure this, but with a lot of Sixth Ranger introductions, I see a trend happening here. They first appear in episode 17. Usually, they're in that episode, their character is set up.
Mhm.
In some cases, they'll already have their powers, and in other cases, sorry, it'll revolve around them becoming Rangers. Episode 18 will revolve around them like joining the team. In some cases, they're either loners who don't want anything to do with the team, or in some cases, like with Shinkenger and Gokaiger, the Red Ranger is just saying, "No, you suck, get out." Uh, uh, And then you have episode 19, which is just like a typical episode where like it revolves around them like having a rocky relationship with one of the members of the main team. Which in this case, and in this case, you can kind of tell it revolved around Akira's introduction of Akira's relationship with Togachi.
God dang it, Takati.
Ugh.
And I have to admit that I really, especially since like this is like our first Orange Ranger, and especially like since Akira, from the looks of it, he is an interesting Ranger, but his introduction is just so typical. I mean, I've seen Sixth Ranger arcs that sometimes might maintain like some parts of this, but you know, there's kind of a different thing that kind of makes them good. Like, for example, my favorite Sentai Sixth Ranger Boken Silver. In some ways, he did kind of have this kind of introduction, but what makes him good is that they took 2 episodes, like they actually took 2 episodes to set him up as a character before they even made him Boken Silver. And you know, there's other ones like, of course, Dragon Ranger, where you had like 6 episodes where he was evil. So I was just really disappointed with Akira's arc, how it ultimately just kind of became, how it ultimately just amounted to typical Sixth Ranger introduction.
Yeah.
Like, you guys got anything to that?
Yeah, it definitely, now that you mentioned this, it reminds me of Gokaiser with Guy Ikari. He appears already powered, no big deal. He's trying to prove himself worthy. But it's not until the next episode that he proves himself capable of being a Gokaiser. And in the following episode, everyone's like, "Oh, Guy, you're so cool. Oh, Guy, you're so awesome." And Don actually feels very threatened by this, and he has a little conflict with Guy until Guy explains, "No, I should be the one that's like jealous of you. Like you're so cool and this and that." And Doc's like, "Uh, okay." So yeah, I see what you mean by that. It seems like a common trend.
Yeah.
So anyway, the next episode is, I guess you can just call it's basically just a filler episode.
More filler.
Yeah, pretty much. Uh, to be fair though, I actually think that this is a pretty cool filler episode.
I like the cat at the end.
Yeah, pretty much how the episode turns out is that the ToQger show up at this station where this shadow monster like pretty much like sends them like flying in the air or something every time they laugh. And
Oops, there I go flying in the air.
Whoops.
and but because Akira has such a very no nonsense and like serious personality, he's not laughing at all. And ultimately, the ToQgers try to find a way to like save the day. And I guess just to kind of sum it up, what really makes the episode cool is that the episode ends with Akira actually laughing while he's controlling Dai-Oh, and it turns out that he has a love for cats because he's taking care of the cat. Like, it's a really adorable scene, actually. Like,
It was so sweet.
Akira's laughing and he's looking at the cat, and Kagura's walking up to him. It's like, "Oh, you love cats," and
And he's like, "What? No, not at all."
and then
Like he gets really embarrassed by that.
and then the owner of the cat, who he had taken the cat from, shows up because he had given her his harmonica in exchange for the cat, and she said that her parents were allowing her to keep the cat anyway. So she takes the cat. We see a really miserable look on Akira's face. That
He was like, oh, like I'm taking my cat way by. He's like, oh, we'll forget you too.
it is just real. Like, I felt sorry for him. Like, I felt upset.
It was so funny and so quick. It was just like his expression changed just like that. It's like
He is so like he gets so embarrassed by all this stuff. He's like, that wasn't me. No, not at all.
No.
And that's pretty much how the episode ends after that. We get, and then in Station 20, we get another filler episode, and
21?
Yeah, 21. Well, technically it leans toward a big episode, but you could kind of call it a filler episode. And
Yeah, it's a kind of a leading up to a real episode.
uh, still, unlike the previous one that I just mentioned, I did not like this episode. Basically, it's a typical body swap episode. Uh, what happens is that Madame Noir is getting ready to have Rita and Zet have their wedding, but of course, as we established it previously in the series, Glita doesn't want to marry Zet, and she runs off because she wants to be with General Schwartz. So she actually comes up, to be fair, with a clever plan where she gets this new shadow monster. I'm not sure what he was called.
Yeah. Insert name here.
And basically what happens is that when the ToQgers show up to battle the shadow monster, Glita ends up switching bodies with Mio, and so that she can use Mio's body to like be free while Mio is pretty much her, and she'll be the one forced to marry Zet. So,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, that's kind of an okay plan, but a huge and while Kagura is off with Mio trying to figure with her blowing in misery, because she's in the body of pretty much Grimace's creepy baby
Oh
now.
God.
Yeah. And what was
I
really
would
like
kill myself out to do that.
interesting was that like I actually didn't mind her being Mio's body because Mio was like bland, and when you see her her expression just changes. She's more happy. She's like, yeah, I'm free. It's just funny to see that. I think she just should have stayed like that.
Mio as Glita? No.
I mean, personality wise, at least.
Yeah. Though I gotta say, I couldn't imagine her Toku say anything like that.
Like the cute
She can't even, no, she can't move her arms that far.
And and then just because they want to add some comic relief, Right, Togachi, and Hikari all fall under the spell, and of course and I really don't like this because apparently Togachi is put in Hikari's body, and that's just no. That's the biggest way you can insult that character.
Yeah.
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 So basically, and to make the thing that's worse is that since Mio is now in a shadow monster's body, she starts to weaken. So the ToQgers have to figure out how they can save Mio.
Her imagination.
Yep, and basically, I get okay. Right now, I just looked up the name of the monster. He was called the Sabao Shadow. That's kind of a weird name.
So
So basically, so the episode pretty much ends with Diesel-O and Bill Dai-Oh defeating Sabao Shadow, which restores everyone back to their original bodies, and Glita tries to go to General Schwartz so that they can elope, but it turns out that General Schwartz had led her to Zet. So, and that leads us into our next episode, which is a two-parter here, episode 22 and 23. And before we go on, I would like to say, this is kind of the point. A lot of Sentais have these, and this is actually something I don't mind because this is one of my favorite parts of almost every Sentai I've seen these days. It's like the mid-scene big battle, where in some way the plot goes through some heavy change, or well, at least what counts as a plot here in ToQger, because
we have no plot.
Yeah,
Filler City, baby. Filler City, baby.
No, it's Filler Station.
Because, if I remember, a lot of the big Sentais that I've seen, because technically since there's only 47 stations in ToQger, technically you can kind of say that this is the midpoint of the season, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a lot of seasons usually have like a huge battle. Uh, like some at the top of my head, you have Go Busters, where midway through the season they had that battle where they enter the subdimension to battle the Messiah. That was
Mm-hmm.
huge. Uh, I'll like literally in the 24th episode, which of Cure Uger, and Cure Uger has only 48 episodes, so this is literally the midpoint. They have that moment where they battle against a revived Deboss, um,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's kind of pushing it with Go Kaiger a little bit since this was way beyond the midpoint, but maybe you could kind of count that point in Go Kaiger where they battle against the Great Warzu and they unlock their own grand power to create Kanzen Gokaio. Maybe. But
I would actually say that the two-parter with Hurricane Sir.
yeah, that's probably a bit better. That literally is the midpoint for Go Kaiger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the bottom line of this is that like almost every Sentai, especially these days, has that moment in their mid season where they want to do something big, and this is ToQger's case. So so basically what happens in this two-parter, uh, with episode 22, Mio starts to recover a memory of their hometown because it has something to do with what they did as kids that was happening around this time of the year. And while they're trying to figure it out, at the castle terminal, we're finally getting the big wedding between uh, Zet and Glita.
They're finally getting married. They're finally getting
You
married.
married. Oh, Latin reference. I love that.
I've been waiting for all to use that line.
And now now Baron Nero actually tells Zet not to go through with it because he thinks that Madame Noir has a plan, which to be fair does seem actually kind of like it could be true. I mean, because she was definitely insisting, like she almost felt like she was literally forcing Glita to do this. Uh, and while they're at the wedding, it turns out that it Madame Noir indeed was doing this and was indeed doing this for her own personal needs. Since
Yeah, she's scheming. You see.
basically what happens is that Glita devours Zet and to take his own power, and she transforms in like she gains this new form, which isn't that much different from her original form. She just gains doesn't she gain like claws or something? I think.
I
She
think
gets
that's what
her
it.
eyes change to red.
Aren't they? Yeah, they're red.
It's just even more creepier than ever.
So
Yeah.
Which I don't think I don't think it's possible to do that when you're being rid of.
Well, she's more creepy now.
so Zet is gone, and General Schwartz now takes advantage of this to go and attack the Rainbow Line without restraint, which kind of makes sense since Zet kind of made it clear that he didn't want the ToQgers destroyed since he was fascinated by their shininess.
She was
And all that.
researching how to get it.
Yeah, and while they're doing this, like meanwhile with the ToQgers, Wright starts to get the hint that starts to think that remember that the ToQgers as kids were going to their secret base to see the stars around this time during the summer festival. And sorry about that. And Mio starts to continue with the memory and admits that the memory wasn't as happy as it was. I think that was kind of a moment where like Mio reveals it to Kagura, I think.
Yeah.
But while they're out looking, the ToQgers get alerted to General Schwartz's appearance. The ToQgers show up, and we finally get a all six transformation for all six ToQgers. But unfortunately, it's just scammed over because they really don't care about it that much.
They're like, whatever.
And 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 what happens is that, well, to kind of sum it up, what happens is that General Schwartz steals ToQger. The ToQgers are forced to battle with it in Diesel-O and Build Dai-Oh. Gleeta joins in piloting one of the Darkliner robos, and both Diesel-O and ToQger are no, not ToQger. Build Dai-Oh are defeated, and that ends part one, and we jump right into episode 23. And basically, what happens in 23, I guess you can kind of say is a new important episode because the ToQgers regain memories of their hometown, and they actually remember the name of their hometown too. And I actually have it written down here. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's okay. I'm just gonna try my best to pronounce it here. It's Sabarugahama. Sabarugahama.
Sabagurama.
Um,
I don't know.
from,
And
they call in the some translations they call it Plead Shore. I think that's what it's called. I guess in English maybe.
Probably.
so pretty much like what the episode is that Akira's repairing the Reshas since they were obviously damaged by that attack, and while the ToQgers are out, they get attracted to this festival that's going on. It's called the Sakuma Shrine Festival, and that's actually how they regain the memories of their hometown, since they remember celebrating that festival as well as kids. And they end up, and General Schwartz attempts to attack the festival, and the ToQgers try to fight it off, and ultimately basically how the episode resolves is that Gleeta attacks with the Imperial Darkliner. The ToQgers, through their after remembering their hometown, I'm not sure how this would motivate them to do that, but basically what happens is that they combine ToQo, Diesel-O, and Build Dai-Oh all together to form Cho-Cho Tokyu Dai-Oh.
Sutsu.
Yeah,
Shoot.
that's exactly what came to mind the minute I heard that name.
Sutsu.
And what's really interesting is that like Akira was actually one that actually initiated calling it Dio at the end. He was like, "No, it's called Dio."
What's funny though is that like when they the way that this translate on the overtime subs, they literally translated as super duper Tokyo Dio. That's just wow. Like they have really,
so means super. So having super said twice is kind of redundant.
Yeah, super duper
so
deluxe.
they defeat Tokyo Dio, and we get this really dramatic scene where Gleeta is wounded, and General Schwartz goes up to her and he's about to return her feelings, but then Zet, and he actually gets a monster form here, he consumes Gleeta, and then he walks up to General Schwartz and he throws him off the river.
Well,
and
actually, then what happens first is that this is really crazy. It's like, his hand literally comes out of Greta, stabs Schwartz in the stomach, and then just kind of explodes out of her, in a way.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I actually like his monster form though.
Yeah,
monster form looks really awesome. I am glad though that they didn't make that his permanent form, because if they did, I would have been really angry at that, because his human form was part of his charm. So
yeah.
I'm glad that he keeps his human form.
He can go back and forth,
Yeah,
I think every Sato person can go back and forth if they choose to.
Yeah, because only Kikari and Zet have done this. I don't think any other Shadow monster could do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically what just happened here is that Gleeta has been consumed by Zet, and General Schwartz is supposedly, and keep in mind that I just said supposedly, dead as well.
Nobody really dies here, ever.
I know, right? I was like, wow,
I
it's very
thought that I thought that Zed was dead. Nope, not at all.
So, so after that, we move into the next episode, 24, which I'm it. It's not really a filler episode. It's actually kind of important here. Basically, what happens is that the ToQgers want to find a way, since they know what their hometown is called now. The ToQgers want to find their hometown, so they start traveling to stations that are already controlled by the Shadow Line. At first, Ticket says that there's no way to get to the Shadow Line because since they're completely consumed by darkness, they're like impossible to come by. But Akira, which makes sense since he used to be part of the Shadow Line, reveals that since the drill Ressha that he owns used to be a Dark Liner, he can actually use that to access a junction between the Rainbow Line and the Shadow Line. The ToQgers use this to enter a Shadow Town. It's it's called it says here you go
The
Kinai.
Gokanai?
Yeah. And while they're there, they encounter a shadow monster. And while they find, and one thing I really like about them here is that even though they figure out that it's not their hometown, they still want to free it. So yeah,
yeah.
that definitely shows that even though they do want to find their home, they still care about protecting people and all that. So that's definitely very noble of them. Uh, and then kind of played for laughs, they transform into the ToQgers, but just as they finish their uh, posing, they de-henshin, like they lose their powers. And it turns out that because because I'm not sure how this was explained, but apparently when they're in a shadow town, they can only maintain their transformation for 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, actually, only when they go via the Drill Ressha dimension.
Yeah. Because there's no rainbow connection there.
Yeah.
So they're of course forced into retreat because they can't transform. But what happens then is that they come up with a plan that since they can only stay henshin for 30 seconds, a good way to keep them henshined is to use transfer changes. And you might recall in the first video that I said that I didn't really think that there was much of a reason for there to be transfer changes at first, like just for the sake of changing colors. But here, now I can see why there's a reason for the transfer changes.
Yeah.
This is a point where like they actually do seem like a legit thing that can help the ToQger. So
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like prior to this, I just thought that it was just a stupid gimmick that was trying way too hard to be like Gokaiger. But now I actually get why they did that. I mean, I'm not sure if the writer had this in mind while she wrote in the transfer changes at the beginning, but the transfer changes do work here at least, so I like that. And basically, what happened? So the other ToQgers fight off the foot soldiers, the crows, while Wright goes to confront the shadow monster that controls the Shadow Town, and and they give him all his Reshas, and since he's able to do transfer changes with all 5 of the Reshas, he's ultimately able to defeat the the shadow monster, and then they destroy him with Jojo Tokyo Dai-Oh. And
what's really interesting about this shadow monster is that like they actually represents chess pieces, if you will.
Yeah.
This one what was this one? Was this Rook or was it?
Yeah, it's saying Rook right. So
yeah, I think
I thought so. Yeah. Also, I found it interesting that when the shadow engulfs a town and completely takes over, everyone freezes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that.
This is really important, like plot wise, and it's also really interesting just to see like the fact that they can all just freeze the town, and when they wake up, they have no idea anything even happened to them. It's like a bad dream almost.
Hmm. But like I said, I the whole Shadow Town and them not being able to stay transformed. First off, it does make sense, and like I said, I mean this was kind of the point where I started to like the transfer changes, since at this point it finally made sense why they would do that, and there seemed to be a good
Yeah.
reason for it.
This is actually where I started liking ToQger.
Hmm.
Like I began liking it with the episode 14 with Hikari, and then
Yep.
Akira's appearance was pretty cool. But then this is what kind of like sealed it because things start getting darker,
Yeah.
and it's not as goofy as I thought it was. And I don't know, that made it more fun for me.
Now the next episode we're not going to talk about much because it's just a lame filler episode, and
We can just skip over it.
Yeah.
well,
Nothing happens.
well, actually, no. A slightly important thing does happen at the end. Well, okay, just to kind of give you the hint on what it is, it's basically just a lame filler episode where the ToQgers go to some fairy tale based station. Togachi encounters this thing called a Rio Knight, which, to be fair, is kind of okay because it reveals that like Rio Knight was a creation that he made based on his older brother. So I can kind of like that because it shows that Togachi has a good relationship with his older brother and like looks up to his brother good, but still it's Togachi, so that really drags it down.
And I'm not hating on this episode because Takatsu's the focal point. It was just really bad filler to begin with.
Yeah.
Takati just made it worse.
What happens at the end though is that is I and it actually says right here, and I even wrote this down. Uh, Madame Noir begins to feel that Glita is still alive inside Zet, and and the episode also ends with General Schwartz. So now you know why I said supposedly.
And now you
Uh,
know why I say nobody ever stays dead.
uh, General Schwartz is revealed to have survived after Zet pushed him into the river, and he finds his personal Darkliner still intact.
Yeah. Now, the next episode actually is really cool. I like episode 26 a lot.
Yep.
And a lot of people will say, oh, well, Riz, you like this episode because fan service. Actually, it's not the fan service that really made it the best thing in the world for me. It was the amount of development we get for a certain character. So, as you can, as it's custom with a lot of anime and some Sentai, I guess, there's always like a bathhouse episode that just kind of appears out of nowhere for fan service purposes only. So in this one, they arrive in a station which houses like a really cool bathhouse, and
Hmm.
Akira and the others are like looking for this monster, but instead they find a bathhouse, and the owner there is dealing with losing it to a Lone Stark, who's threatening to tear down the bathhouse if he can't be paid the following day. Well, Akira, for whatever reason, is like, oh my god, bathhouse. And he's like, we must go. Like, he's really excited about this.
And I really like that because it definitely showed that Akira had more of a personality beyond the whole "oh, this battle will be the battle where I die." I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that can get annoying really fast. So giving him more of a personality beyond that was really welcoming for me.
yeah. And so, Akira and Kagura both take a bath at the establishment, which gets the entire group of Tokis really interested in helping advertise the bathhouse to get the money to raise it all and save it. Um, but Akira decides to add a discount to the ad, which kind of cuts the funds in half. So they're about to set down the bathhouse, and all of a sudden, the shadow appears, and there's like a massive darkness beneath the house that the bathhouse is on. And the Lone Stark that we mentioned earlier is actually a shadow creep called Coin Shadow, and he wanted to force guy out of the building to make a new satellite terminal in its place. Well, ToQger just transform, kick ass, kill him, as is normal, and they manage to get the bathhouse back up and going, and they he allows Kagura and Akira one more last bath before they go back on their journey into like pointless nowhere because they have no direction of where they're going to begin with. And just before anyone asks, no, Kagura and Akira did not bathe in the same place. They had a male and a female area.
The only problem that I have with this episode, and ironically, it actually is the fan service part. Mostly like the scene where like Kagura and Mio are in a bath together. I swear to God, and like I was watching a Mega Ranger episode a few days ago, and there was like this point where the Mega Rangers in their class went to a spa for a field trip, and there's literally a scene where Chisato, Mega Yellow, and Miku, Mega Pink, they're in a bathhouse, and I swear to God, some of the dialogue that they say is literally the same as Mio and Kagura. It's like the Yellow Ranger's worried, the Pink Ranger calls the Yellow Ranger an old man, and then they start playfully splashing each other. It is literally the same thing.
Do they compare bust size?
No, they don't.
I think they do in ToQger.
Oh, they do?
I
Okay.
think so.
Well, some of the dialogue is still the same, so yeah, that's the one thing that kind of bugged me, but hey, fan service, so why should I be complaining?
Yeah. And then we get episode 27, which again, I like this one.
So episode 27, we actually get we get two new things. First, we get the debut of a new villain, and she's going to be the only new permanent new villain that we get. Her name is Marquiones. Is that how you pronounce it?
Marcinus Monk, I don't know, something like that.
Watching this Mark.
Yep. She becomes a new villain here, and like before we continue on with her, like I just want to say that Mork really isn't that big of a villain. Like she's pretty much just like another Baron Nero, except she's female. She's just there, but she's just evil for evil's sake.
She's annoying.
She really is.
I thought they were going like, well, I guess I knew they were going to kill her off that easy, but I just wanted to like, okay, just give her a please.
So basically, what happens in this episode is that the ToQgers are given a brand new gold-colored Ressha called the Hyper Ressha, which I'm pretty sure Ticket explains to them that it gives them access to an alternate form. I'm not sure, but they say that the ToQgers aren't strong enough yet to control it. So, isn't that how it goes?
Well, they say that they need a large amount of imagination to use it.
Right. So
for whatever reason, in this episode, Right is feeling kind of intense and kind of down on himself, so he's not really very imaginative, which leads to problems because obviously they choose him to be interested with the Golden Ressha because, well, according to them, he has the most imagination of anyone else in the group.
Which is kind of
again bull, but
true.
Whatever.
So Akira at the same time reveals that he's found another junction to a Shadow Town, and so they arrive at the Shadow Town, and they attempt to use the Hyper Ressha because I'm pretty sure, like, given its new power, the Hyper Ressha would probably make them immune to would probably give them enough power to like stay henshin beyond just 30 seconds. But since Wright has come down with a fever, sorry. He's unable to use Hyper Ressha, so they give Hikari the other Reshas in hopes to keep the bishop held off. Go Hikari, and Akira arrives to help them out, and basically most of the episode is just Wright Wright basically going around the Shadow Town, seeing people in misery while also trying to figure out how to activate the Hyper Ressha. And pretty much the episode resolves with, at one point in the episode, Akira does assume his Zara monster form again, which is kind of something that he'll do in the series from time to time when he's battling in Shadow Town, and which is actually kind of cool. Where he depowers his Tokyo Rokugo, so he figures, oh well, I'll just use my monster form to fight instead. So that
Yeah, it's like, oh, you don't like my Tokitsu powers? Here, let's have take a taste of Shadow power.
so,
Bam.
so Wright finally manages to activate the Hyper Ressha to turn into Hyper Tokyo Ichigo. One thing about this power up mode, it's pretty much like a Shinkenger's power up mode, the Super Shinkenger's and Hyper mode too. Only one Ranger can access it at a time. And while we're talking about Hyper mode, I just gotta say this. I think this is one of the worst Super Rangers I've ever seen. Like it's pretty much like it's for a. I'm just gonna say this because I saw this on Jeff Fusion. For a series that's fueled by imagination,
Imagination!
this power up mode does not look like it was made with any imagination in mind.
No.
Ninja has more imagination. It hasn't even aired yet.
Well, technically it has, but
Well, technically it hasn't.
Yes.
but you know, like, and
It's just
I'm,
raw.
I'm not sure how to describe it. It's basically like just take a golden train and turn that into chest armor, and that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty lame.
It's really lame. Like
Also, it looks really ugly on the Ranger.
Yeah.
whenever I think of a good power, like I think of good power up modes, like I look back at like modes like Super Geki Rangers or the Super Shinkenders, but this one,
Yeah.
that's
Mm-hmm.
like I actually can't even think of another power up mode that I really hated, but this one is definitely the first one that I really hate.
Heck, even the Ghost Sages one, I didn't like Ghost Sages. I think that those were better than this.
Yeah, now that I think about it, maybe the Super Ghost Sagers wasn't that great, but they're like it's definitely just. I mean, it's Super Geki Rangers compared to this.
Yeah.
This one, yeah.
So, anyway, through the Hyper Ressha, they get access to this turntable like gun called the Dai cannon, which admittedly is a cool thing where like the ToQgers load their Reshas on the sides and then like he rotates the Hyper Ressha around like a turntable to draw their power before shooting it forward.
It reminds me of the Galleon cannon in Gokaizer and the Zeo cannon in Zeo.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool weapon, I'll admit. Like for as bad as hyper mode looks, it does give them a pretty cool weapon. We actually get a one-on-one battle with Zet and Wright, which is actually pretty cool. And then what happens ultimately is that Wright uses the Dai Kaiten cannon and fires at Zet, but the Shadow Monster, the Keeper of the Shadow Town, takes the blow. Mork takes Zet away, and they use Tokyo and Build Dai-Oh to defeat the enlarged Bishop. And
Tokyo Dai-Oh comes and destroys the enemy and all as well.
except what happens is that the other ToQgers end up getting Wright's fever. So, yeah.
It's okay. They have no purpose in life right now.
Unfortunately. The next episode is probably my most hated ToQger episode.
It's also more filler.
Yeah, it is more filler, but
Yay, more filler.
the basic premise of this episode is that Wright gets turned evil. Now, we've already seen that plot to death. Like, almost every single Sentai has at least one episode where one of the Rangers is turned evil. But
Normally red.
Yeah.
But what pisses me off is that Togachi is still made the main focus of this episode.
Dang it!
You know what annoys me? He's second in command, technically.
Ikari is a better second in command.
Yeah.
He is second in command in the real eyes of the game.
Basically, Madame Noir uses her powers to turn Wright against the other ToQgers, and Wright pretty much just like goes on a rampage and like runs away or something like that. And the ToQgers go out to try and find Wright, and at the time, Hikari and Togachi are put together, and I'm not sure how this turns out, but basically the episode kind of resolves with Togachi revealing that he has feelings for Mio to Hikari, and Hikari being the awesome guy that he is.
Power the grab, rogue, Forrester?
Okay,
What the heck was that?
sorry about that. An ad popped up on something. Basically, what happens? I really apologize for that. Hikari, being the nice guy that he is, just like says that he won't tell Mio because Hikari's awesome, and yeah, that's pretty much the episode. It was lame, and I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
Now, the next episode, 29, is actually probably a really cool episode. Basically, and it was also really good for me because this is the first time that someone other than Wright has assumed the hyper mode.
Yay.
Yay.
And wouldn't you know it, it's our favorite ToQger.
Yay.
Awesome.
Oh, is this that episode with the teacher?
Yeah. I think so.
Actually, no. We don't get that episode till later.
Okay.
Oh.
Basically, in this episode, the ToQgers are approached by General Schwartz, and who, as we established in episode 25, is not dead.
Dun dun dun.
And General Schwartz reveals that he has a plan where he wants to get to Zet and free Glita. And in order to do that, he wants the help of the other ToQgers.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, like, the ToQgers are, like, contemplating on whether or not they want to help him, since General Schwartz is their enemy. And, I will admit that it was kind of a disappointment with me, because seeing Hikari be the one who used the Hyper Ressha, I was really hoping that this was going to be an episode devoted to him, but instead it actually just ultimately amounts to Wright getting the Hyper Ressha knocked out of his hand, and Hikari sees the Hyper Ressha, and he's literally like, oh, this is here. Might as well use it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, why bother?
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that really came out of this is that, Wright and General Schwartz talk over like a bowl of like noodles at the restaurant, and Schwartz is like, I'm not gonna eat this.
How would he eat it?
Who knows? Converted to darkness, who knows?
So, and pretty much the episode ends with General Schwartz actually backstabbing the ToQgers. What a shock! And
Stealing the drill racer.
yep, he steals the drill Ressha. And one thing that's cool about this is that I think I could kind of say that this is kind of one of the episodes where I got the feeling that Akira was starting to warm up to the ToQgers, because for the next few episodes, I always thought that while I wouldn't necessarily say that Akira wasn't the kind of guy who hated the ToQgers or wanted nothing to do with them, I still felt that he still wanted to separate himself with this. But we actually see him talking with the ToQgers on the Rainbow Line here, and so I really liked seeing him on there, even though it's just really just a scene that ultimately just ends up being like the ToQgers just make a plan, we'll find General Schwartz and we'll take back the drill Ressha. So the way that, though I have to admit that the way that Kagura reacts to what Akira says, that was actually kind of adorable. Like, just like, oh, I like that plan. That's you just gotta love Kagura. You can't hate her.
Yeah.
And speaking of Kagura, that moves us to our next episode, which I'm pretty sure is our last episode for this time. So we just covered 14
Around 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Actually, more than that. 14.
We have a filler episode right here, but it is actually a very good filler episode. Basically, what happens is that Kagura finds out that it is Mio's birthday
September 28th.
through a memory, and she wants to bake a cake and throw her a surprise party. And that premise already is good, because up to this point, I always felt that Kagura was kind of being portrayed as one of those characters who's nothing more than just a sidekick character to either Mio or Hikari, and maybe Togachi for like episode 16. So for her to actually want to do something by herself, I actually really like that.
Well, it also gives her like a chance to be something more than like a crybaby too.
She wasn't
Because
much
there's
of a she wasn't much of a crybaby
well,
though.
she gets portrayed as one a lot. Because
Yeah,
whenever she like gets like nervous, she starts like hyperventilating and it looks like she will cry.
Yeah.
so so basically what happens with the episode is that uh, Kagura is trying to bake Neo a cake. A new shadow monster called the Wig Shadow attacks, and all of the other five ToQgers. And a rather funny thing, have these wigs put on their head that have these birds' nests on them. And apparently, when a bird hatches from the nest on top of their heads, they'll die. That's actually kind of dark, but
It is. I was actually kind of surprised that they did that.
but
So meanwhile, like only those five got affected. Kagura was not affected by the curse because he wasn't there. So it was late.
I'd say where the only real weak point about this is that it does debut Hyper Tokyo Sango and Hyper Tokyo Gogo. That's 3 and 5, by the way. But what sucks is that they both transform into hyper mode together, and they're
And
like
make a double.
together. And I wouldn't mind it that much, except, and I don't think I'm giving that many spoilers here, but this is the only time that any of them ever transform to hyper mode. So for them to just do it together, like that, that just really pisses me off.
It kind
Like,
of cheapens the value of the female characters a lot.
yeah, because even in Shinkenger, uh, when Shinken Pink and Shinken Yellow used the Super Shinkenger mode, they at least did it. They at least did it, and it adds some badass value to their character.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really did not like that. It just looked weird when they're both using it at the same time.
It was actually like, oh well, it takes two women to have one man. So
It
That's
seemed kind of like offensive and like like, oh well, only two girls could use it at once. So it's like,
yeah.
so
and
yeah,
this is a Kagura episode, so you're like, let Kagura have her moment. Dang
Yeah.
it.
But at the same time, I can see why they wanted Mia to have it too, because it's kind of her birthday. And they're trying to sell like the friendship between Kagura and Mia, but why join them at the hips, so to speak?
Exactly.
it. So yeah, that kind of sucked, but still, pretty much the episode ends with them just defeating, using the Hyper Ressha armor to defeat, uh, the Wig Shadow, and then destroy him with Chocho Tokyo Dai-Oh, and then Mio's surprise birthday party goes pretty well. And so to really like, aside from the lame thing with like having Hyper Tokyo 3 and Hyper Tokyo 5 together, it's a really good episode because I don't think Kagura has had an episode devoted to her since that episode where she broke Hikari's kendama. So it was really nice to see an episode devoted to her.
Actually, I would say that that was the last real episode where she was a character development was when she was in the coffin.
Oh wow, and that was before the kendama episode.
Yeah,
So
because I mean that was more like, yeah, she was involved in it because she broke the kendama, but that was like a joint character development thing more than like a singular.
so yeah, I really liked this episode. It was a filler, but again, it's one of those moments where, well, actually, the I will admit that the premise of this episode was done before. Also, once I don't want to say, but it was done in a Ghost Sager episode. This episode is 10 times more badass than the Ghost Sager episode. So, I mean, it's not much to brag about being better than a Ghost Sager episode, but still, I mean, I really liked it.
Yeah, I haven't seen Ghost either, but I do like the ToQger episode for it.
And I think that's about it with the episodes we said we were going to do today.
Yeah, and just to do my last final thoughts on this, we get a little bit of plot. We get some stuff happening here, like we get the glitter and Zet thing going. We get the new Ranger, but and we get a new mode. But other than that, I mean, nothing. Nothing new release going on. There's no like. We're 30 episodes into this one. We just finished episode 30, and we still don't have like any direction on where we're going. There's no like, oh, you have to do this or do that. It's go defeat this out of town and get the people back. I mean, yeah, I know we're trying to get to the hometown now, but even then, like, we need more to go off of to make this more interesting.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know, I know it sounds like I'm kind of, really going off on ToQger. I kind of liked it. It wasn't the worst Sentai I've seen so far, but it wasn't the best either.
I was I I guess by this point I had just kind of like, especially by episode 30, I'd kind of just cemented it in my head that the only three characters that I really cared about were uh pretty much the last three, literally, like Hikari, Kagura, and Akira.
Yeah.
Like and looking back at Akira, like, so far, like I said, I like him being a loner because we don't. I think Gosei Knight from Goseiger was the last loner sixth ranger that we had. So I like Akira as a character, and I guess it just really was kind of ticking me off how Hikari wasn't getting any episodes devoted to him by this point.
Mhm.
It really made me mad. You got anything to say, Anthony?
Just what's really what y'all was saying, like, it's just not much to talk about.
Well, I mean, nothing really happened, so there's not much to talk about to begin with for that reason.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, I think if that's it, then we are Toku Secrets, and we're signing up for tonight. If you like what we've been talking about the last few parts of the ToQger rant series review, then comment, let us know what you think. Share us, like us, subscribe to us, whatever it is you have to do to stay in contact. We got a Facebook page for Anime Secrets on Facebook, and we have a Twitter. Follow us there. We're going to be posting some really cool stuff over the next 2 weeks. And stay tuned. We have part 4 coming to y'all pretty soon as well after this. So a lot of fun stuff coming. So farewell, good night, and again, thank you for watching, and have a good day.
Peace, guys. 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 Peace, guys.
Hey you! Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos. You can also check out Anime Secrets on Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook. Do you want more than that? I know you do. Then go to our website where you can see daily updates and articles and exclusive interviews.